It is December 1988, and you've been hearing a song. Yes, you've been hearing that song. You don't necessarily like it, but you're at the theater and your friends pointed out the movie that it is in. Since you've already seen Dark Side of the Sun, you decide you'll give the movie with the song a shot. We're not talking about the flying purple people eaters. We're talking about Beaches, whose soundtrack includes Bette Midler's version of Wind Beneath My Wings.
Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy!
But first, welcome back to Season 2 of Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny has commanded three friends to challenge each other's cinematic persuasions by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. My name is Matt Weiler, coming to you from Pleasant Grove, Utah, and I am joined, as always, by Tyler Beck in
Cape Coral, Florida, still for maybe not any more recordings. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Got to leave the listeners guessing. Make them come back next week.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
For the
that's
update.
right.
Those of
Find
you
out.
you're updating your pins on your map. Like, where is Tyler?
Yeah, we'll have
Could
that
be-
map
it
as a
could be different
downloadable.
soon.
We'll have a downloadable map for you guys to keep track of Tyler.
I want to hang a map of the world in my house, and then I'm going to put pins into all the locations that I've traveled to. But first, I'm going to have to travel to the top two corners of the map so it won't fall down.
Make sure it's an NFT.
That's right. We got to make it worth something. Got to sweeten
That's
the
right.
deal here.
TFP NFT.
And we're, as always, joined by Ben Lawhorn up in Salt Lake City.
Hello.
Yes.
For those-
hello.
Just very direct.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
Hello,
going to put
Ben.
this in the pod. For half a second, I was going to say,
Let's try to get at least 2 seasons in before we get canceled.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, it's not like, I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
that'll be in our. That'll
That's
be
the
in
patron.
Our
They got to
Patreon.
pay for that.
Yeah.
If you want to cancel me, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. The get canceled cut. The canceled cut. That's where you can put all my dick
Cancel
jokes.
cut. Oh, we're off to a great start.
My
I love this
constant dick
episode.
jokes. Yeah. All right. For those new to the show and those returning, our goal as a podcast is to establish an active movie club in this online community. What started as a discussion between the three of us friends has evolved into a podcast that we've been able to share with a bunch of guests. We're always excited to have them on. And today we are very excited to have someone who's been on here a few times already. The best Weiler of them all,
Hands down.
and my favorite person on the planet,
No.
Angie.
Hey guys,
Hi,
happy to be
Angie.
back.
Oh,
I'm glad
that was
you're
cuter
back.
than the movie I just watched.
Yeah.
That was adorable.
Already throwing shade on the movie.
I didn't
I
say
thought
the
for
movie
sh-
wasn't. The movie was super cute. That was just more
Oh,
cute.
This was even more cute.
that's great.
Yeah. I thought you for sure going to introduce her as the wind beneath your wings. I
Yeah.
thought without a
The
doubt
wind-
that was coming in.
Really
wind
blew
beneath-
it there, Matt.
Yeah. You
See,
can
the
edit this
best
in.
Weiler would have done it.
Ben can edit this in. The wind beneath my wings. All right. Yeah, if that was, I mean, if we're doing comparisons, which one of us dies? You know? Which one of us is going to die?
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
That'll be,
You have
that's
to
the
pick.
end of the episode.
You have to
That's
pick on
season
air.
3.
Yeah.
Which one?
Tell us, Tyler.
Cliffhanger.
It's
It's
season
me,
3,
isn't
man.
it? I know it.
Season 3, and it's just Angie and you two. All right. This round, we are focusing on movies that have not one, but 2 female leads. When we agreed on this
Utah.
category, what's that?
Give me 2. Give me 2 female leads.
I set him up. Ben knocks him down.
All right.
Wait, can I derail this really quickly?
Yes.
Please. As
Favorite
if it's not
Weiler.
already derailed.
Yeah. I know we're really on course here, but I'm just going to derail this for a second. I want to ask, my favorite Weiler, or maybe I want Tyler to ask my favorite Weiler the new Clubhouse question, because I'm very curious what her answer is.
Ooh.
She's been on our
no,
Clubhouse
an on the spot
before.
question.
It's got to be on the spot. Very intentional. I got like off the top. Tyler, I'll let you ask the question, even though Angie might know it's coming up. But yeah, I want to hear, for the people who came on the original set of Clubhouse questions, I want to get the update.
Yeah.
It's
I
fair.
mean, it's a pretty easy question. It's a good question to be on the spot for, because hopefully you have a good like emotional response to this. But I want to know, what movie would you go back and see again for the first time? Like you get a Doctor Strange spell cast upon you. You forgot about your first experience with this movie. What would you go back and experience again for the first time?
Okay. My answer is the fifth Harry Potter.
Ooh.
Because I started reading Harry Potter when it first came out. And for years, I tried to get anybody in my family to read them, and nobody would. And
Yeah.
then, like, I don't know what happened, but my brother and two sisters read them, like, all. And they finished right before the fifth movie. And so we all went to see it at midnight together. And it was like the greatest night of my life. So it wasn't necessarily because I loved the movie, but I loved the experience around the movie.
Yeah,
That's Order of the
Was.
Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is a really good
This
fight scene in that,
episode just keeps getting cuter and cuter.
I
That's
know.
adorable.
Oh, and just you wait.
too.
It's
Just
gonna
wait.
get.
At the end of the season awards, this will be voted the cutest episode. by Tyler.
We're all gonna be crying by the end of this episode. That's for sure.
Going for the heartstrings.
Well, thanks for humoring me, Matt.
Yeah,
Please.
you're welcome.
Continue.
Yeah. As I was saying, this round we're focusing on two female leads. When we agreed on this category, one's mind immediately goes to beaches. It just does. And at the time of this recording, Beaches came out 33 years ago tomorrow.
Whoa.
Seriously.
And as is customary here on Three Films Pod, we celebrate 33rd anniversaries.
It's true.
Of
Very
well
well
known.
known. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Especially by the three of us. We all knew that 100%
It's
going
a
into
thing.
this episode.
it's a thing we do. So it was a no-brainer for several reasons, like Beaches, of course, but a 33rd anniversary, count us in.
We have to do it.
But the truth is, Angie has been trying to get me for over a decade to watch this movie, and Angie is here to tell us why.
So when I think back on like my childhood, this is probably the movie that I watched the most. And it was like the movie that me and my sisters would put on to just cry to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just super nostalgic for me. So I don't know. I mean, it probably started when we were dating that I tried to get you to watch it. And
Yeah, immediately, yeah.
yeah, and you even bought me the DVD like years ago, and we still haven't
Back
watched it.
back when it was not popular to do so, yeah.
And you still married him. He wouldn't watch Beaches, and you still married him.
I know. I told him he had to watch Beaches first, and he didn't. And I don't know. Next thing I know, we're married. So
There you are.
He's just
Copy
so
of
handsome.
Beaches.
Swindled you.
With Beaches, still in its cellophane wrapping.
got unwrapped finally.
It was finally unwrapped. Tyler, what about your experience with this movie?
Well, so it's funny that Angie says that this is like the movie that you would sit and cry with your girlfriends, watching. And as I was watching it, I was like, that's the exact thought I had. I could just picture like, I don't know, female friends of mine or my sister. I could just imagine this being like a sleepover movie or like the rainy day movie when it's on TBS or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, this is going to sound horribly sexist, and I don't mean it the way that it's going to sound, but I just was like, I wonder if this is kind of like the version of like the Karate Kid for me. I'm not saying that women don't like the Karate Kid. I'm not saying that men don't like Beaches. I actually did like the movie, even though Matt seemed to think that I didn't.
Men like Beaches.
But
Men like
but,
Beaches.
when I was a kid, you couldn't have made me watch this movie, right?
Mhm.
So I just was like, I wonder if like your experience with Beaches is like the similar one I would have had with like the Karate Kid, like, and it seems to be true, like the one you put on when your friends are all together, and not that men can't be emotional and enjoy like an emotional, loving story like this, but I think you see what I'm trying to get at here. But that's the exact thought I had. I was like, I could see like any of the women in my life enjoying this movie with their friends and, having a cry and some Franzia. Did you guys notice the Franzia?
I did. I was like, what are these
like,
rich assholes drinking
budget?
Franzia? Like, this
like
guy's what is he, a doctor or something, or a lawyer or something? Like drinking Franzia?
They dropped the bottle on set and the PA just had to get any bottle.
We gotta get that.
No, but listen, to Tyler's point, if you're listening to this and you're a man who, may or may not like an emotional movie and you're not sure whether or not you'd want to try Beaches out, give Beaches a shot. Try Beaches.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit more later, but like, in all honesty, you're right. Because it's like, everyone has friends, right? Like, it just, to me, this movie just sort of, it's just about friendship, and it's just about sticking by each other and working through stuff. It's not much more than that, but it doesn't really need to be. And I enjoyed it for that. Like, it was just fun to watch these two have a friendship. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
we've all had friends that we've gone through stuff with, for better or for worse. And I don't know. It was just it's a nice, easy, good, cute little story. And I think that's perfect.
Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, this was my first watch. Surprisingly, growing up in a house full of women, this never was on our TV at all, which I, in retrospect was like, oh, I feel like I told my mom we were talking about it. She's like, oh, I love that movie. I was like, I don't remember anyone ever talking about it. But in all honesty, like so many other movies on this podcast, like, I think I'm watching it at the right point in my life. Because if I had watched like It's a Wonderful Life, or I mean, I don't know, just some of the other movies that we've talked about on here, I wouldn't have appreciated it when I was younger. And same with this. I just would have felt like, oh my God, like my mom growing up had me watch a lot of Westerns. And I was like, dude, this is so boring. Like, everyone's on a horse. But now going back and look at it, it's like, oh my God, John Ford, like, it's amazing what he was capturing, So I think
Mom was cool.
Mom, you she was cool. Right the whole time. That's kind of how I felt with this. I'm like, I think this is the right time for me to see it and just like appreciate what it is. Along the lines, though, of It's a Wonderful Life, I did not remember that this is the movie that song was from. And so when that queued up, to me, it was like the angel showing up and It's a Wonderful Life. Like, we've been here for 3/4 of the movie and now you're playing this. It's like, I've been here for an hour and 40 minutes and the angel's now showing up. Like, this is the tagline, is the angel's going to be here. So I'm surprised that like they waited so long to play this, because I don't know. I mean, maybe they just didn't know what they were sitting on at the time, but it makes me think of Thor Ragnarok when they got Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin and they played it multiple times. He's like, yeah, if we have this song, we're going to play it multiple times. And it felt like that could have been done in this movie. Arguably, it's obviously more impactful when they played it and stuff, but just like when that came on, it's like, oh, that's what this is from. Okay, got it. Like, that makes a whole lot of sense. So I had a good time with it. Like, Ashley and I watched it together, and she brought up the point that, like, man, this is one of the best, like, casting as a kid and as an adult, because the Bette Midler Ryan Bialik matchup was just like perfect. It could not have been better. It's like, oh, these are like the same exact people. This is so well done. Like, that was one thing. Like, if you were struggling with the Rushmore, we're going to throw that out there. It's like, let's do good, like, kid castings of adult characters. Cause like this one was solid. Like, it was so good.
It was.
I almost wish we'd gotten more of that storyline, because I really liked their dynamic quite a bit. So I don't know. I enjoyed the movie probably more than I was anticipating. Again, like, I think I'm just at the right point in my life to enjoy it for what it is. And I'm glad we got around to it and watched it.
Yeah. That's a good point. I feel the same way about the same way about myself. Like, I don't know if maybe somewhere around 10 years, 5 years ago, like, that's when my personality would have shifted enough to where, like, I would make the effort to sit and watch this and appreciate it the same way. I think I always would have liked it. I don't necessarily think I would have hated it, but I definitely think I appreciate it more as a soft old man.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, we liked playing at beaches. Now we just like watching beaches.
Now we just watch them.
Well, so I had heard obviously from Angie for the last however many years, and this wasn't just like a bug in my ear saying like, oh, watch beaches. Like, this is a fairly constant thing that's just existed I'm reminded several times a year to watch this movie. So it comes most fiercely from Angie, but I've known many women throughout my life that have loved beaches. Just absolutely loved this movie. I saw that this wasn't very like critically well received.
Yeah.
It did well, but it wasn't like critically acclaimed or anything. So I guess my next question is, what makes beaches, like what's the recipe? What makes it what it is, and why is it essential for so many? And I'm going to shoot that over to Angie.
Yeah, well, I think it is a great friends movie. And like Tyler said, like we've all had friends. I like how it shows that like there are times in their life where they need each other more, and there are times that they just like don't. And we all probably have had that where like for whatever you're going through in your life, you need this certain friend, and then you kind of drift apart a little bit, but you're still friends. And I don't know. So I guess it just feels real. It feels like a real friendship.
Yeah. I mean, jumping on that again, and it's kind of what I said earlier, like for me, I was just like, this is just, it's a really simple story. I think my biggest complaint about the movie is it's a complaint I have about a lot of movies. It's probably 20 minutes too long, but regardless, it's just like, it's an easy movie to just watch and feel good about. And I think a lot of movies try to be, a lot of stories, a lot of things try to be more than what they need to be or what they are. And this movie just, I feel like it's just like, it understood the assignment so well, right?
Yeah.
Like there was good performances, but I thought everyone was really good. I thought Bette Midler was great, but like, she's not doing anything more than she needed to be. She was just over the top enough, just cheesy enough, just campy enough. And I'm forgetting the other actress's name, which is terrible for an episode
Hershey.
dedicated to women. That's right. Barbara Hershey was just grounded enough and just straight enough and just like square enough. You know what I mean? Just they were both just enough of a character, but a caricature, and both of enough of like an accurate portrayal of like a real person that I think it's just easy for everyone to kind of see a lot of themselves in both characters because they're not totally specific, right? They're like, I don't know if that point necessarily comes across or makes sense, but I don't know. It's just an easy movie to sit and attach to. So I could see it being easily something that like on a rainy day, if you're having a tough day and Beaches comes on, you're like, oh shit, like they're at the such and such scene and they're at the beach house. Let's hang out and watch Cece dance with Victoria, right? It's Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally just watched this. My memory is awful.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think we're really just kind of hitting home here, like what it is. It's the friendship, I think, is what carries it through. And I think what attracts people to watching it, like Angie said, there's definitely the element, like the emotional story part here. It's like, if you want a good cry, this is here for sure. But I think the good cry comes from how deep their friendship is. And I think a lot of people can, relate to that to some extent. I know, like for myself, I moved to a new state when I was 10 years old, and I made like new friends, when I moved here. And then at some point, you fall apart, not fall apart, but you fall away from each other over the next 28 years. You're not always like talking to each other, even just like going to different middle schools and then getting back together in high school. And then, all that kind of stuff happens. But I've had that with a friend in my life. And even just in the last year, like we got lunch together and I hadn't seen him, I don't know, maybe like a decade. But there are these kind of friendships where it's like, oh, you can just like get together and kind of pick up, like it's kind of natural. I mean, Tyler, I met you 15 years ago. We've remained pretty close friends, this whole time. But Matt, I mean, same with you. I mean, you lived in the neighborhood when I moved in, and obviously like we used to hang out a lot, back in the day. And then, everyone just kind of goes their separate way. And then I send a text like, hey, do you like movies? Like, do you, and it's like,
do you play drums?
Do you play drums? So I don't know. It's just ways like the roller coaster, I guess, of friendships and life. And I think that's what you see here, when we're in the early flashback, you can think about those friends and honestly just how like amazingly simple it can be as a kid to make friends. It's just like, do you like this one thing? Because I also like that. So we should be best friends now. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
I do love that.
And it's like, that was really fun to see here. It's just like, I love your singing. It's like, I love my singing. We should be best friends. Like, yeah, it's a great recipe for friendship here. So I really enjoyed that. as someone who identifies as more of like an introvert, I definitely was, more on the Barbara Hershey character. It's like, oh, I love seeing other people do stuff and like being supportive and all that. And I think these two characters, like Tyler said, like they're kind of caricatures as far as like the extreme polar opposites of personality, like someone's just like kind of, she's kind of like rigid and it's like, I'm working for the ACLU and straightforward. And then there's Cece, who's just like, I live in a kind of a studio apartment thing. It's super crazy. Like, look at all my stuff, That reminded me of whatever that seagull is from Little Mermaid. It's like, look at all this stuff I've got. Like, all these weird things. Like Scuttle. Yeah, exactly. It's like, look at all this stuff I have. Isn't it cool? It's like, oh yeah.
Behold my stuff.
So I don't know. I mean, that's just a very long-winded way to say I think people can kind of see some sort of connection to their life, hopefully, I guess, through friendship in this movie. And it's really easy to place yourself there and be like, what would I do in this situation? Like, what if my best friend is like, hey, I'm not going to be here much longer and I've got a little kid. It's like, yeah, cool. I'm here, that kind of a thing. So I had a good time with the movie for sure. Like, it was definitely 80s and stuff. Like, I didn't realize Gary Marshall directed it.
Yeah.
And I think he does a great job of like directing these kind of stories and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it. And again, to repeat it, I'm glad I finally got around to watching it.
Yeah, same here. And one of the things that I just wanted to point out, because I think we're all in agreement on the things that make this, so important to so many people, but like that best friend relationship, it's comparable to like a romance movie or a romantic like relationship where like the viewers are watching, and if it's a good thing, like if it's a good romantic relationship and a good story, it's like they want that so bad. Yeah. And that's the same with like these best friend stories. Like there's a lot of great best friend stories out there, and you always leave just like loving that vibe. Like, who's my best friend like that? Who could be that for me? And so I think movies like this just like do so well with that. And I mean, as we've already said, just makes you, think about your own relationships and, think of who's with you, throughout your life as things change and all that. But we all, took a really long time to watch this movie. Some of us were being prodded to watch it more than others. But if you were to take one scene from this movie, this is our segment that we call the elevator pitch. You're in the elevator with somebody and you're like, hey, check out Beaches. Here's why. What scene are you pulling up on your phone to show them, to get them to go to their hotel room and fire up Beaches?
Fire it up.
Angie.
Okay. I would show that scene where they're in that like flamingo club, you know what I'm talking about, where she's like, it looks like a flamingo barfed all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait till I get my hands on that agent, I'll kill him. That toad. He told me this was a nightclub with leather banquettes and a dressing room with a door on it. I mean, look at this place. It looks like a flamingo threw up in here.
And it's because I feel like you get a really sweet friendship moment. And one thing I wish about the movie is I wish there was a few more scenes of just like really good friendship parts.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's a lot of them kind of like fighting and being jealous and bugged by each other, but they're like the few really sweet moments, And I feel like this is one of them. And I also feel like it shows the type of relationship that they have, because at first they go from like scream fighting with each other to like Hillary's character, Hillary saying that she's pregnant, and Cece's like genuinely happy, just like drops all of the fighting. She's so happy for her and like celebrates that moment with her. So anyways, I feel like that's a scene I would show because it shows the type of friendship that they have, that deep friendship that like you can be so mad 1 second, but then like the next second just celebrating this huge life moment,
I think that's super solid, because that's maybe the one critique I had, or, one of the critiques I had of this movie is just they show us that they have the kind of friendship that like you can tell someone like, I'm not like an aspiring asshole who's just trying to do what, like, I mean, they do, they kind of yell at each other. And
yeah,
I don't have siblings. I don't think Cece does in this movie either, but it kind of comes across as like the people who know you best can hurt you the most because they know like where to dig in.
Yeah.
And it felt like those kind of fights.
When your father died, he took the best of you with him.
Look, don't make a scene, all
You
right?
tried to be an interesting person for a while, but look at you now. You've completely reverted to type. You're nothing but a small-minded, tight-ass little snob these days.
How would a pretentious little climber like you know that?
Experience.
Experience?
And I know what's eating you, too.
Oh, really? What's eating me?
Plain old-fashioned jealousy.
Jealousy? Jealousy? What am I jealous of? Your insane ambition? No, it must be your new money. No, I'm jealous of your marriage of convenience. That must be it.
But then, you know, it's just like the next time they get together, which I think the follow up to their kind of big breakup is that flamingo scene. And it's just like, I don't even care what we talked about. I need a friend right now. It's like, oh, it's that kind of friendship where they're just like, forget everything else. I need you. You're the one person that can help me with this. And that's just, we saw a lot of that, but I agree with you. I wish we had seen more of like, you know, them singing the carols or whatever, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like we saw a little bit of it, but there wasn't a ton of us seeing them connect. And I think that would have been really good because that just would have made that other stuff pay off so well. My scene that I wanted to show really is just kind of the beginning, you know, from her coming out from under the stairs, like offering a cigarette. And you learn that she's like, I mean, that whole scene, like she's calling her Leona. She's like, who's that woman? It's like, what woman? It's like that one. Like, oh, that's my mom. You know, it's like, okay, like, all right, this is a super good introduction to this character. Like we know exactly what she's going to be like. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that all the way up to like, you know, when she finishes the audition and just, I don't know. We learned so much in that short amount of time, you know, where she's like, Leona, you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You had to brag about it. It's like, I'm so happy for you. It's like, yeah, but now I lost the part because you keep talking, you know, and I like that a lot. And then, I mean, I'm kind of with Tyler. I don't want to do anything that's going to spoil the movie. I don't know if this would really spoil anything, but I would almost want to pair it. Like if I'm going to talk about one of the scenes that hit me the most from this movie, it is that scene where she goes back to her mom as an adult. And it's just like they split up after 3 years. Like he stopped paying attention to me and she just like kind of starts laughing. He's like,
why do you think I'm living down here in Florida, huh?
I give up. You like the sun.
I don't give a shit about the sun. I'm here because it's peaceful. That's why. You always wanted too much attention. You wanted so much attention from everybody all the time that you wore people out.
That's all you want. You just want people to like pay attention to you. That's it. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is the moment where she's finally learning like, oh, I do kind of have like a narcissistic, you know, personality where like I like the attention on me. And I think you have to have that if you're going to be a performer and stuff. But it was really cool to see how it got kind of called out, you know, and the mom just being like, that's why I gave up. Like I had no more energy to offer you. Like I love you with all of my heart. You know, you're my favorite person ever, but like I can't commit any more attention to you because it's just too draining.
I love you, CC. Oh, yes, I do. I love you very much. But I just can't pay any more attention to you. You know what I mean? I want to, but I just can't do it.
And it's just, I can't imagine hearing that from your mom, you know, but we see it happen on the screen here. And it's like, oh, I think it really kind of hit her then of like just how selfish she's been and how much other people have like sacrificed over their life to get her to where she is. So I would show the kids scene, but I wanted to take a sec to talk about that scene because that's probably the one that hit me the most throughout the whole movie, which is that you know conversation between mother and daughter.
Yeah. I talked about the movie being like not necessarily light, but not necessarily like overly emotional or like intensely emotional. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that scene certainly struck me as well. There was a lot of moments that were like very real and deep and like well written. You know what I mean? Kind of wrapped up into like this like easy to digest story, I guess. And like I think that's what I liked most about the movie. I liked that it was able to be sort of like subversively heavy, if that makes any sense. Like it wasn't like heavy-handedly deep, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was poignant enough and like there was enough substance there to keep you moving. I think so. This is a very CC heavy elevator pitch because I'm going with a CC moment as well. Because along those same lines of being like sort of strangely subversive or like having like a deeper meaning wrapped up in sort of like a fluffy, cute, like we love each other story and movie. And I'm glad Angie's here because maybe she can speak to this or correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm fumbling around because I don't know a better way to say this. And I mean this with the best possible intentions.
Careful.
But I feel I'm serious. No, I'm serious. But I should be careful here. But I think this movie is such great feminism porn. And that's a terrible way to put that. That's a terrible phrase to describe this, but that's exactly what I mean. Cause it's almost like there was so many like beautiful, like strong, obviously there's two beautiful, strong female characters, right? It's like very strong, beautiful, feminine characters, but also like a lot of really good feminist messages here, right? Like two women who are who they are and accept each other and love each other and support each other. And it was a movie about these two women. And I just was struck with like how much that might have meant for a woman, especially at these times when most movies and most stories are very male dominated, right? Mm-hmm. And so it can be just a fun movie that you watch with your friends, but it's also showing you like you can be who you are. You can be flawed. People are still going to love you. The same way that like, I don't know, Daniel San can be vulnerable in Karate Kid for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and maybe I'm overreaching. I'm a dude, so maybe I don't want to mansplain feminism. You know what I mean? But like, that's kind of what I was struck with. I was like, oh, this is feminism porn. And I mean that in like the most complimentary, best possible way. And for that reason, the scene I chose as my elevator pitch was when Cece beats up the director. I literally, like, when I saw it, I was like, yes, fuck the patriarchy. Like I said that too. I was cheering. I had a bunch of different scenes that I had picked, and then most of them were Cece performances. Like the one that's kind of like the Thriller homage. You know what I mean? That was what I was going to choose just because I thought it was cool and I thought it was a fun performance. But when she did that, I was just like, oh, that's great. You know, like I liked watching her stick up for herself and throw this movie away because she was sticking to her principles, whether for better or for worse for her character. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad that there's a woman here to either confirm or deny that long rant I just went on, because I don't know. I thought if it would have been important to me if I was someone who didn't necessarily see myself on screen all the time. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with what you're saying. And well, a couple of things I thought of while you're talking is, number one, for the time that it was made, it's not like it was common to have a movie where you don't have like women end up in a relationship. Yeah. But it's kind of cool that like both of them just ended up with each other, you know, like, yeah, she took care of her at the end of her life, and I don't know, you know, who knows what happens to Cece, but that
was like, here's a man cutting off a woman talking about her experience.
Go ahead.
But no, I just like when Cece took, is it Victoria? I keep asking.
Yeah. The daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. When Cece took Victoria, I was just like, oh, that's beautiful. She wanted a child, and here's like a single mom passing off to a single woman, you know, and it's going to be fine. She's strong. They love each other. It's going to be great. But you reminded me of that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And nowadays we see things like that happen more. It feels like they're making movies, and like Disney movies, that the main woman doesn't have to end up with a man, which I love that. Mm-hmm. But it feels like maybe it didn't happen as much in the 80s when they made movies. Yeah. Then the other thing I was going to say is that scene where she beats up the director and he's like, your career's over. Like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're done.
Yeah.
It's after that she goes and has like, you know, starts recording albums and actually has like her real big career. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that goes along with your feminism porn. Like, you know, she wasn't done.
Right. I like that though, them calling each other out almost. Cause like when, God, I'm not gonna remember. I'll remember Cece, but Hillary, like when she gets married and then they, you know, get together, and it's just like, you're just a housewife. Like you were always so driven and stuff, and just kind of like almost encouraging, like, why did you give up on what you went to school for, what you love to do because of a guy? You know, it's just like, why aren't you doing that? And I like that as sort of like, I don't know that she necessarily meant it like in a build up way, but like in a sense, like questioning her actions, I guess. You know, it's like you were so driven and stuff. Like, why? What made you stop doing this? And I appreciated that. At least in some sense, it's kind of like they knew each other well enough to know what their real intentions were and motivations and desires and stuff. And they could kind of like reinforce that. It's like, don't give up on what you want to do. And then, you know, in the long run, then she goes and, you know, becomes a lawyer again and stuff. And I think that's great that's like that supportive, like, do what you want to do. Like, this is what it's meant to, you know, this is what is so important to you. So I appreciated that as well. Just being very encouraging.
Yeah. When she's pregnant, she goes to her friend and basically, you know, leaves the dad. It's like, I might need help and I might need support, but I absolutely do not need that guy.
Yeah.
You know, at all.
Yeah.
In a time when, you know, it's really difficult it'd be very difficult to move on from. But that's the character that they were, you know, building for her, which is awesome. My scene, I mean, there's a few scenes like Ben that I want to talk about. I thought it was just interesting, like how much Cece fought with Victoria. I thought that was pretty funny.
I know, Matt's like, can you imagine like one of our friends talking to our kids that way?
Yeah. I like that whole that towel scene was so good.
So great.
like you make me pick mine up, you know. It's like just the passive aggressive, like not saying anything and just walking out and hanging it up. Like
slams
I
door.
loved it.
Yeah. The other thing was I like how, I mean, for those of you who, you know, are, you know, haven't learned a lot about human biology, it takes about more or less 10 months to conceive and deliver a child. During this time, I swear, a good third of the movie is it Hillary? Hillary's pregnant, and I swear Bette Midler like ages like 15 years.
It was the haircut. The haircut was not good.
Also, that doctor got engaged twice in 5 months. Because she was like 3 or 4 months pregnant, going to the OBGYN appointment, and then proposes to her. And then she's like, comes back for the birth, and the doctor's engaged again. It's like,
I know.
At most, this has been 6 months, and this dude is engaged again. Like, this is crazy.
The dude's eligible. You can tell. So wait, who wrote this story?
It's adapted,
book, right?
Yeah, it's adapted from a novel.
Okay. Was the writer of the story a man or a woman?
Looks like the name is Iris Rayner.
Okay.
So, yes.
Well, my joke was going to be that the writer was a man, so he had to give the guys some wins too. So he had to make all the men very eligible. So we'll just blame that on Gary Marshall, the adaptation. He had to make the guys win too.
Yeah. I want to see like behind the scenes where Gary Marshall is like screaming at Bette Midler, just like the director in the movie is.
I mean, okay, sorry, quickly though. I joked when the movie finished, like I usually do after we watch any sort of like heavy, serious movie. It's like, time for the gag reel, you know. This movie actually has one of the best gag reels ever. That there's a blooper. It's like 7 minutes long, and it's so good. It's like the best bloopers I've ever seen, because they kind of make like a narrative out of it. So if you happen to own it or whatever, I highly recommend you watch the bloopers. They're super funny, like just the way that they do it. They go through almost every actor. It's hilarious.
That's right.
I will be
one
watching
last
that
one
immediately.
though. It's so good. Like, I was like, there's no way they have it. And then it's called Beaches Bloopers. I'm like, oh my God, there actually is a bloopers on here. Like, there's no way. I thought like Shawshank doesn't have bloopers, you know.
That's the alternate name for kook slams on Instagram. Beaches Bloopers.
Beaches Bloopers. The only other thing I wanted to say really quick, honestly, what worked for me, what was my elevator pitch, was the beginning of the movie, where we see her singing, like she's in the Hollywood Bowl, which is like a huge fucking deal, you know, and like practicing all that kind of stuff. And then she just gets handed a message and she's like, boom, I'm out of here. Like, I'm not talking to anybody. I have something super important. And I was hooked within the first minute. I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, this is huge. Like, if you are playing the Hollywood Bowl, like, I don't care how big you are. Like, that's a big deal just to be like, give everyone their money back. And she doesn't even say that. She just like leaves, you know, but obviously it's implied that she's like, I don't care. Like, I might like end my career. I'm going to lose all the money tonight, whatever. I have to leave. And that just makes like, it instantly brought on this like seriousness, just like, oh, holy shit. Like, what what's going on? We don't know, and then we go to the flashback and stuff. So honestly, this movie, I think, starts with the perfect elevator pitch, which is like, if you're not interested in the first minute and a half of why this woman just left her solo performance at the Hollywood Bowl without telling anybody anything, like maybe this isn't for you, but that I was hooked. Like, okay, I got to figure out what's going on. And they kind of like leave you, it's like, oh, is this like right when the birth happens? Because we do a few flashbacks. It's like, what is she leaving for? And all that kind of stuff. But I did just want to shout that out too. Like, I think this is one of the best opening scenes that can be used as an elevator pitch for any movie we've talked about.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes it so that you don't have to worry about whether or not Cece's going to make it. Like if we just meet them as kids, then you're probably not going to buy the fact that this little girl's going to make it. Right. And like, I don't know Bette Midler's life story, but I can't imagine that she was like the most popular kid. I think, I think this movie deals with that. Like she's jealous of Hillary's looks. Like all the men want her instead of Cece. Right.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that may have been Bette Midler's experience. I don't really know, but like, my girlfriend's a redhead and she said she got made fun of all the time. She didn't feel the most attractive growing up, being like a freckled redhead kid, growing up. So I like that we like get that out of the way first, and then we can just buy into Cece's character and we can just worry about their friendship. We don't have to worry about if either of them are going to make it. Like Hillary was born into money. She's fine. Cece's, we already know she's at the Hollywood Bowl and she is so sure of herself and talented enough that she can just blow it off. She doesn't really care. And we know that this friendship's important. And then we just get to see how we got there. We just get to enjoy all of that. I think that was my elevator pitch. That, and I was going to either choose that or the skeleton, like the thriller-ish dance.
Yeah.
And then I chose the director scene. But you're 100% right, Ben.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
As always.
As always, Ben always gets this one right. But I like how it cut back to the, I guess, present of her like driving too. Just to remind you, like, this is stuff that's happened. This is, she's on her way to whatever she's going to. And like a lot of the time it's like pouring rain while she's driving. But speaking of driving, it's time for our Adam Driver drive-in double feature. If you're watching this for the first time or listening to this for the first time, our Adam Driver drive-in double feature has little to do with Adam Driver, but everything to do with what you would pair this movie with if you were to go to the drive-in tonight. What movie?
You're
would
the
you be
segue
showing?
on cruise control. You were just like, I'm coming around.
I had it
Here
loaded.
we come.
Yep.
You're ready.
Just drop the gear, hit the fast lane. Here we are.
That's right. So with the Adam Driver drive-in double feature, you're picking what movie this should be paired with and in what order. And we'll see how many tickets you can sell. But I'm curious, Angie, what would you pair Beaches?
Yeah.
with?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned, it's super nostalgic for me. So when I watch it, I mean, I probably hadn't watched it in 15 years when we watched it for this, but it just took me back. The other movie that does that for me is Babes in Toyland. So I'm going all nostalgia and watching them together.
You're consistent.
I love it.
If you all heard that, Babes in Toyland was something that we covered with Angie last year.
Good time.
Keanu Reeves, Drew
Driving around
Barrymore
in a little teeny car.
Oh yeah, Ben's got it right there.
Yeah.
Babes in Toyland.
So good.
Check it out. That's a great double feature. That could be a 3 films double feature. We could run that double feature.
We could. Yeah. You could also listen to both episodes back to back.
Oh, organic plug. So a lot like Ben, I loved I assume you all liked Bette Midler's performances as well. And that's why my pitch was going to be, just any Bette Midler performance. And so it got me thinking of other singers that acted in movies. And I've got to go Purple Rain, another 3 films double feature. Nice. I at first picked Pure Country. It's a movie with George Strait in it. I think I've talked about it on the pod
Is that the one your mom was in?
Yeah. Yeah, she was an extra. She was like, there's a big concert scene. So she's somewhere in the crowd of this concert scene.
Nice.
And she loves George Strait. I was raised on George Strait. I think Pure Country, the tone of it, fits more with Beaches, but Purple Rain's like my favorite, one of my favorite movies
sell tickets.
I've discovered over the last little while. So I gotta go Purple Rain.
I think that's a solid choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you mentioned, we all like Bette Midler's performance, because I got reading into like, so on Rotten Tomatoes, this is a 40%, which seems low to me. It's kind of nuts. Like it's not crazy like Christmas with the Cranks 5%, which is just like insane. Like it's not that bad. Like this is crazy to me that like Christmas with the Cranks has such a low rating, but for 40%, I'm still like, oh, I thought this would at least get like, I don't know. I whatever. I could see like the complaints with it, but I enjoyed it. But one of my favorite reviews on there said that like, this is my favorite kind of Bette Midler role. And like Ashley and I looked at each other like, what else does she do? Like, I feel like this is like every Bette Midler role. Yeah. Like this is every role that she does is like this. Like, I only like Bette Midler in these kind of roles. I'm like, well, great. Cause that's every role that she does. So
that's what you get.
I love that.
Mine was just kind of going along with kind of the lifelong friends. And one of them kind of comes down with a terminal illness. It's one's called 50-50 with Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And it's actually based on Seth Rogen's real life writing partner, Evan Goldberg, who, they've written a lot of their stuff together, and Evan got cancer. Spoiler alert, they helped write it together. So Evan lived, he's cancer free and everything. So that's why I think I would play that one second, just kind of maybe end on a high note, a happy note, but maybe a little, I don't know, like Beaches definitely has plenty of comedy, but I think it's definitely heavier than 50-50. So in my mind, I just kind of want to like lighten the mood, I guess, as we go into the second movie. So that's what I would go with. It's 50-50.
That's so funny you say that. I remember 50-50 being like heavy. I remember it being super sad.
Maybe I need to revisit it. I know it also like it definitely had the dramatic stuff. I guess I remember more of like the comedy aspects of it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just because that's what I wanted to remember. So
I feel like it does build you back up. It does. It comes around.
Yeah,
but it is like emotional
sure.
and
it's really good though. I love that movie. And in fact, I was trying to think of a movie that I was like, there's gotta be, I mean, there's a million movies about dudes being best friends, but there's gotta be a good, yours was perfect. I'm jealous. I didn't think of it.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
You're always perfect. Right. Damn it, Lawhorn.
I'd still come see Purple Rain though.
Oh, cool, man.
So mine is the opposite approaches to Ben's. I want to watch Beaches, tear the audience down, and then I want to rip the audience to shreds.
Wow.
Okay. The Witch. I wish every answer you gave was just The Witch. Like if you had an ongoing segment where every double feature, like I think The Witch would be great here.
Oh man. No, close. It's Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis in One Day. Which
I've not seen that.
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but it's another one that will just it'll
ruin you.
Well, it's a story. It's very similar actually, where it documents a relationship over several years, and they meet up over time, and like it's different each time, and so it's an interesting story.
Is it like a condensed before trilogy? Like
it kind of in some ways it is, yeah, because their time together is pretty limited. And they go live their lives and they meet up again and all that. But
I'm surprised you haven't seen this.
I know.
25% of your Crushmore is on here.
My number one. Yeah. I don't know.
And I mean, Jim Sturgis is an honorable mention there. So.
Oh no, that's what I was talking about. Jim Sturgis is number one on my Crushmore.
But no, one day was really good. I've meant to watch it again. But it's hard to push that DVD into the DVD player. Let's just put it that way.
I cried about that movie for like a week straight, so I'm never watching it again.
Man.
One day turned into 1 week.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, as we've been talking about this and we're talking about like Friends movies, I realized that like this would have been a really good opportunity because we haven't done Friends movies Rushmore, right?
Yeah,
we might have to put that in the queue.
Yeah.
Because this would have been a good one for that for sure. But what I did go with was the obvious choice that took zero thought. Beach movies.
But I mean, when's the next time we're going to be able to do a beach movie Rushmore? You know,
that's true.
You gotta take your shots when you've got them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
we'll have
fair.
plenty of Friends movies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So beach movies for the movie Beaches.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
And we'll start off finding out what Angie has in her top 4 beach movies.
Okay, beach. Well, beaches. First of
Beaches.
all.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, great.
Classic.
I mean, you say beach movie, and that's all I'm thinking is beaches.
Yes,
that's fair.
I also
You're
put
like,
on
there's
Castaway.
other beach movies?
Yeah,
Like,
right?
what else
I
is
mean,
there?
that's what I thought at first.
Beaches is plural.
4 beaches.
No, I put Castaway.
Great.
I did Blue Crush and 50 First Dates.
How's that hot wahine nympho from Ohio, huh?
She's great. I dropped her off at the airport this morning.
Oh, come on, I need some details. You get some boobies, some assy, a pull on your boy, come on.
Daddy, what's an nympho?
Oh, the nympho is the state bird of Ohio.
Oh.
You're the state idiot of Hawaii.
You have made fire.
Thank you.
It's a Castaway joke. Guys, it's a Castaway joke.
We got it.
Ben will play the clip.
Play it right here. I watched
It'd be so
that.
cool if you didn't, though.
Oh, I'm not going to at all. I'm just like,
Yeah, playing it right here.
until I get the roll it from Tyler, I do not play the clip. But
Oh, don't give me that kind of power.
for some reason, when I think of Castaway, I've only watched it once, and it was while I was getting a root canal. So I was like laying back and just watching it in the ceiling, and then I didn't get to see the last like 15 minutes of it, so I still don't really know how it ends.
So
but
to you,
I
Tom
just,
Hanks still is out there somewhere.
he's still out there, not with Wilson, I guess, anymore. But yeah, and I've not seen Blue Crush either.
Ooh,
I might have to
That's
add
another
that
nostalgia
to the
one
list.
for me.
Ooh.
It'd be a good one.
Well, spoiler alert, Blue Crush takes up 25% of my beach movie Rushmore.
Nice.
Hey.
Mine are very surf heavy. Mine are all my movies, which, I mean, it makes sense. Point Break, I feel like if you've listened to the show at all, you know that Point Break's going to end up on my beach movie. My favorite beach scene being the football scene.
Don't you think that's a little out of line?
Whoa, cool it, Roach. Don't you know who this is?
No, I don't know who this is.
This is Johnny Utah, the Ohio State Buckeyes all-conference, remember?
Number 9, man. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Classic stuff. I mentioned Blue Crush. There's another surfing movie called North Shore. It's about a kid from Arizona who grew up surfing wave pools, and he moves to Hawaii and learns how to surf. And he meets like surfing Miyagi, and he teaches him how to like read the reef and stuff. I don't know. It's great. Really cool stuff. And then Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which has surfing in it. So an all surf Rushmore for me.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
My favorite scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall is on the beach. And I'm
Which
gonna
one?
play it right here.
It's all good. They're coming wiki.
Can you get some towels for me, please? I'm really losing a lot of blood.
You sound like you're from London. Yeah, I'm from London.
Hold on. Ooh, now I get a guess. Hold on. Let me guess which one it was.
Okay.
It's probably not the scene where they fight, where the ex-boyfriend shows up. It's got to be a Paul Rudd when they're teaching him to surf.
Yeah, yep. It's when Russell Brand's injured and he's like, "You sound like you're from London."
Okay, yeah.
I love that scene
Good.
much for some reason. I think it's hilarious.
I was hoping it would be the weather outside is weather as they're walking into the.
I like that movie so much. Let's see. Okay. So I'm like still kind of fighting on mine. I've said it every time. I really try not to do doubles, but I can't not put Point Break on here. Like that was actually the second one I thought of. The first one I thought it was just one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Jaws.
Yeah.
that scene pushing in, doing that like vertigo effect so well is awesome. I have a bunch of honorable mentions, and I'm actually going to switch one out. I'm going to say Dunkirk, which we watched early, I guess, in the podcast. That was the first round of the podcast. We did Dunkirk. The whole movie's on the beach pretty much. Like
that's a sneaky good pick.
Yeah.
So really good clip.
It's very beachy.
You're so good at this, Ben.
It's so very clever. Beach heavy, and you got Tom Hardy, so Harry Styles. I mean, can't complain.
Nope.
And then the last one that I'm just going to make mine is Moonlight. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but
not yet.
Some of the best scenes I think take place at the beach. We kind of follow a character through like 3 stages in their life. And, the first one when he's a kid, and Mahershala Ali kind of has him floating in the water. And that's just like, it's a super powerful scene. And then, there's one in the middle stage. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but just really powerful stuff that takes place there. And I think it's just one of the most beautiful movies ever. So yeah, I go with Point Break, Jaws, Dunkirk, and Moonlight.
That's awesome. That just makes my list look stupid. It just makes mine look
you
like
take
a child,
that back.
Like a child did mine.
I can see your list, and it's great. Be nice to my friend Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend Matt is dead. No. Spoiler alert, Matt dies 4 years from next season.
Matt dies in season 3.
Yeah.
It's not funny. I don't know why I laugh at that. Jeez.
She's just ready to make her way on.
So mine would be Orange County.
Now, when I say Romeo and Juliet, who comes to mind? Dana?
Claire Danes.
That's right, Claire Danes. Who else?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
The beach is an important part of that movie.
Sure.
Goonies has some great beach shots, which pretty much put that beach on the map for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Moana got some very lovely animated beach scenes.
Yeah.
And then
the scene where the first time she interacts with the water, just that was like a kind of a jaw drop moment for me. Every time I watch a new Pixar movie, I'm like, how do they keep doing this? Like, how do they keep coming up with that and animating it so well? And it's really cool.
Yeah, seriously. I love that movie. And then my dark horse here is the movie that we've talked about on here a lot. Also, What If, with Daniel Radcliffe and Adam Driver. There's a scene, and I know that they're up in Canada, so it's I'm guessing it's one of the Great Lakes that they're at, maybe the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not sure. Man, I can't remember what city they're in. I think are they in Vancouver or Toronto?
I don't remember exactly which one they're in, but it's cold water regardless.
It's cold water. Daniel Radcliffe takes off his shirt and he's absolutely ripped. He's got muscles that you didn't even know existed.
Like he'd be perfect for a Wolverine recast, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to cue that up right after this to find out what Ben's talking about. But no, it's a scene that's got Adam Driver's girlfriend smoking like 20 cigarettes at once. Anyway, great beach scene. And my honorable mention would be Us, because I think is that Steve Zahn and like Elizabeth Moss that are on the beach there with the family.
Tim Heidecker, yeah.
Oh, Tim Heidecker,
and yeah, Elizabeth Moss. I thought I had that as an honorable mention as well. And then when I saw you had it, I took it off because I just saw that top down shot where they're walking and we were watching like the shadows walk. Like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Some of my honorable mentions like Karate Kid, get the montage kind of stuff at the beach. Along Came Polly's got a lot of funny stuff at the beach as well. And then I have to shout out Something's Gotta Give. I just really love that movie and that beach house and all that stuff. So yeah, those are some of my honorable mentions.
Awesome. Any other honorable mentions?
I don't have. Else? Yeah, I was going to say I don't have an honorable mention, but I did have a question, and it's a real bummer to end this episode on, but we're going to do it anyways. Do you think if they had had closer proximity, if their relationship wasn't based on these letters, do you think they would have stayed friends for as long as they did?
Ooh.
I contend they would not have.
I feel the same. And that's actually a question I was going to ask, kind of ties into it, is I'm curious how long in between the first and the second meeting in person they had. Like, how long were they writing? Was it like 10 years? Do we hear? I don't know for sure.
I think it was like 10 years because they were 11 when they first met. And then they were saying something about being like 21 or 22 when they were in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, man, talk about like a time in your life where you're discovering who you are and changing your personality. Like that.
And their personalities are so different too.
Yeah.
So different.
They probably wouldn't have stayed friends.
So I think like something, I can't remember who it was. Someone that wasn't me said something about how they truly knew each other, right? Like they knew each other's like deepest, darkest desires, because I don't think, I mean, speaking personally, it's not an easy thing to just tell someone looking at them in the face, but it's an easy thing to write and send off. And it's like, it doesn't seem as real. And then the other person gets to read it. And then it's just like, despite the distance, it can be like such a more intimate form of communication. And so I think like the reason their friendship was as strong as it was is because they had that distance, and they did care enough about each other to keep in contact. Hillary slipped a little bit there for a while, but I don't know. I do think it's kind of a bummer to think about, but I don't think they were so different. I don't think they would have made it had they been closer in proximity.
So you're saying that we would all be closer if we stopped communicating so frequently and just wrote each other.
Well,
stay
that's
tuned for the next episode in 10 years. Pick up season 3.
That's why we have an active Slack chat.
Yes.
To bond, and then we can come on here and make dick jokes.
I think in the movie, like, CZ's entertaining, but in your daily life, I would be like the mom. She's like, I have to get to Miami. I cannot be around this person anymore. So I kind of feel like, that just would have driven her out. Like, I can't do this. Like, I hope you're successful, but this is exhausting. I can't do this anymore. But I was curious about that. Angie, I mean, thanks for clarifying. So like, did they talk about how long it's been? Cause and she's like, shows up, it's like, who is this person? But can't imagine having a pen pal for 10 years and then finally seeing each other again for the second time.
Yeah.
So all pen pals out there, please write in the comments. Let us know where we're wrong, where we're right. Give us your thoughts and feelings. Tell us if you've seen beaches. We want to know. But really great to watch this movie. Thank you, Angie, for recommending it.
You're welcome.
This wouldn't have happened without you.
Yeah, thanks for picking it.
And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Again, it's always great to have you on.
Finally got to unwrap that DVD.
It was nice.
Special edition.
Yeah.
Now we got to pop it back in to watch the blooper reel.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. I really want to know what you guys think. Honestly, I loved it so much.
If I wish I had like a better like reaction persona, like I could like tape myself like reacting to something, because I would totally like get on our Insta stories and do a reaction reel of me watching the bloopers of beaches.
Matt watches the beaches bloopers.
It's just him staring.
Yeah. Wow, it's really funny. That
was funny. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. You know where to find us. Spotify, YouTube. We prefer YouTube. Apple Music, anywhere that you can find podcasts. We have a Patreon. We have a shop. Check us out. But thank you. More than anything, thank you for coming and listening. And we will catch you next episode.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.